Rise, innovate, and create lasting impact. And today I have my special guest. He's the CEO of Mila Shower, investor, and of course a best-selling author too. No other than Mr. John Hargrave.
Daniel, good to see you.
Good to see you once again, Mr. John, on one of my podcasts. And can you please again introduce more about yourself that I met?
Yeah, so I am the CEO of Media Shower. We are an AI marketing company. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been at this for many years, and I'm passionate about talking about entrepreneurship. And I am also a crypto investor. I have a new book out called The Intelligent Crypto Investor. And the story of the book ties into my entrepreneurial journey. So I'd love to talk about both with your audience, Daniel.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. John. Thank you for your legacy to the world. And today, let's talk about being you. Being you as a CEO of Media Shower, a crypto investor. You first bought Bitcoin in 2013 by writing money to Belarus, a process that sounds equal parts pioneering and terrifying. What convinced you to go through the trouble for something that barely existed?
Yeah, this was 2013. As you said, I had a good friend who's kind of a geek, and he and I talk about technology developments. And he had heard about this new thing called Bitcoin. He was really excited about it. He told me about it. I got excited, and I convinced my wife to take the plunge and buy our first Bitcoin. At the time, the price was about $125 per Bitcoin. So we made a big purchase, bought a bunch of it, and then I kind of forgot about it. I didn't really do much with it until about 2017, when the price suddenly started to skyrocket and went up to $10,000 per Bitcoin. And I told my wife, "Holy cow, this is the greatest investment we've ever made. Let's go all in." So we own a marketing company, Media Shower, as I said, and we had been working on this business for many years, and it's a great business. And I said, why don't we shift our focus into crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin companies? So, in other words, we had many different types of clients. And I said, let's shift entirely to Bitcoin and crypto companies. Now, at the time, this seemed like a great idea because with this boom in the price of Bitcoin, there were new companies starting up everywhere and they all needed marketing. So we did this, we shifted the business, and it went really great for about 3 months. And then the price of Bitcoin crashed. It lost about half of its value. And then it went further. And all of these new clients just evaporated. They just dried up overnight. And the next few years were extremely difficult. And many entrepreneurs have gone through a similar journey where you're just chewing glass. You're just trying to get through these difficult experiences. So we almost lost the business. I like to say we made a fortune, lost a fortune, but then we made it all back. And the process of coming back from that, of rebuilding our company and then rebuilding our investments, taught us a really valuable lesson. And the big lesson was about diversification. So we don't go put all of our eggs in one basket. We don't go put all of our business into Bitcoin. We don't put all of our life savings into crypto, but rather we think about it as part of a balanced, diversified portfolio. So that's what we did for our business, where the business is now a much more rounded business with crypto and financial services a part of our client base. And our investment portfolio is the same way, with crypto a part of our overall investments. That was a really valuable lesson, and it's what I'm passionate about sharing with your audience.
Thank you for sharing it, Mr. John. You say that experience reshaped your entire approach to rest. If you had not really lost everything, would you still be a crypto maximalist today? Or would that have eventually destroyed you?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not a crypto maximalist, which usually means people who believe only in crypto. And again, I'm kind of the opposite of that. A minimalist, I don't know, where I'm saying I think it has a place in most people's investments, but it should be no more than 10%. And that's really the message of my book, is how to set up that type of investing plan where you have a widely balanced portfolio and then just a small slice up to 10% devoted to high quality crypto assets. And so, what I've learned over the past decade of working in this space with my team of analysts is how to find those high quality crypto companies, the ones that are really going to be good long term investments, and how to invest in those in a smart way.
Very well said, Mr. John. Your portfolio models is deceptively simple: 60-30 stocks, bonds, plus up to 10% in high quality crypto, as you said. Critics would say, why bother with 10%? Proponents would say, why not more? Defend the 10% to both.
Yeah, that's a great question because I do hear both sides of that. I hear people who say, I'm totally staying away from crypto. I don't believe in it at all. And then I hear people who say, I'm going to go all in. So you have kind of the crypto skeptics, and then you have the crypto bros. And the message of the book is there's a middle way, there's a path in between those two extremes. So when we put this together, we looked at what a typical financial advisor might put together for you as an investment portfolio. If you said I have, $10,000 to spend, they might say let's put 60% of it in highly diversified stocks, maybe 40% of it in highly diversified bonds. And if you wanted to go play around with other kinds of investments, like maybe you like collecting fine wines or something like that, you could do that, but a small percentage, certainly no more than 10%. So we took that basic framework, that approach, and we said, let's do 60% stocks, 30% bonds, and up to 10% crypto. And that gives people the freedom to experiment with these crypto investments, but in a way that protects them from risk. Because if crypto crashes tomorrow, you've only lost at most up to 10% of your overall portfolio.
Very well said, Mr. John. You draw heavily on Warren Buffett, Ben Graham, and value investing principles. Buffett has called Bitcoin rat poison squared. How do you reconcile your reverence for him with your belief in asset he despises?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett and his teacher, who was this guy, Ben Graham. And Ben Graham wrote a famous book called The Intelligent Investor. That's actually where I borrowed the name for my book, The Intelligent Crypto Investor. And Graham's idea was kind of revolutionary at the time. He said, when we buy stocks, when we invest in a company's stock, we need to actually look at the fundamentals of the company. In other words, we need to look at their revenue and their expenses and what kind of management team they have in place. So today, this is all common sense. We call it value investing. But back then, people didn't do this. They would invest in stocks because somebody gave them a hot tip. So Warren Buffett saw this approach. He actually studied with Ben Graham at Columbia and then worked for him. And of course, put these ideas into practice and popularize them so everybody knows these today. What we're doing is taking those same ideas, those value investing principles, and we're applying them to this new world of crypto. So we look at cryptos like companies, and we look at the tokens of these cryptos like stocks. And when we do that, it suddenly unlocks all of these new possibilities. We can start to evaluate cryptos based on things like their fundamentals, on how much money they're making, on how many users they have, on their management team. All those same ideas that Warren Buffett and Ben Graham pioneered, but applied to this new world of crypto. And that's what's in the book, are the tools and frameworks that you can use to do that analysis yourself.
Interesting, Mr. John. You've said this 10% allocation has historically generated outside returns while strictly limiting downside risks. Walk us through the math. What does outside look like, and what does strictly limited mean in a crash?
Yeah. So when we put this approach together, it was in 2018. This was my previous book, which was called Blockchain for Everyone. And I laid out this 60-30-10 portfolio approach. So my team and I have been measuring the results of this investing plan ever since. We report on the results quarterly, and we track them against a typical investor who has no crypto. They would just have 60% stocks, 40% bonds. And what we found that is that since 2018, we have outperformed the traditional investor by over 65%. So that means if you had bought my previous book and followed that plan, today you would have made 65% more money than the traditional investor with no crypto in their portfolio. Now, again, the beauty of this is that it protects you then against risk. So if Bitcoin crashes, as it has over the last few months, you are at most only risking 10% up to your portfolio maximum. And so it minimizes risk while allowing you to participate in more of the rewards.
Hmm. Well, that is amazing, Mr. John. You've been in the space since 2013. How has the actual kind person investing in crypto changed from cyberpunks and libertarians and institutional players of today?
I think the most fascinating and fun thing to watch has been how it is now being not only accepted, but is just becoming mainstream. And so I think the timing of this book is perfect in the sense that more and more large institutions, more banks, even governments are starting to hold crypto as part of their investment funds. At the same time, of course, we have individual investors like you and me who are more and more jumping on board and putting some of their investment dollars into these crypto assets. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. To be honest, back in 2018, I thought this was right around the corner. But it takes time for the financial system to catch up because we live in a global economy, and this global financial system, everything is interconnected. So when you make changes like this, you start moving things onto this crypto technology. It takes a while because everything has to be kind of rebuilt around it. That's the phase we're in right now. We're rebuilding the whole global financial system to run on this crypto technology. And that's really what you're investing in when you're investing in Bitcoin or these other cryptos, is you're investing in this whole move over to this new global financial system.
Mr. Yan, you believe a global digital currency is inevitable, not if, but when. What is the single biggest obstacle still standing in the way of the future?
Yeah. So the third part of the book is around the dollar and what will replace the dollar. So, as you know, the dollar is currently the world's reserve currency. It's kind of the default money that everybody uses for trade and commerce and so on. And we've enjoyed that position since the end of World War II at the Bretton Woods Conference. I tell the story of that in my book. It's a really interesting story, how the dollar became king. But no reserve currency lasts forever. Before the dollar, it was the British pound, the Dutch guilder, and so on. And these empires tend to last 80 to 100 years on average. So we're coming up on 80 years of the dollar being the world's default. There's a lot of signs that that cracks are forming in the dollar's dominance. If you look at the price of gold, for example, it's really shot up over the last year. So many people think we're entering into a new era where the dollar will decline. It's sometimes called de-dollarization. And the question is, what will take its place? We need a kind of global money. I make the argument that this can be a new global money that's built on this crypto technology. So to be clear, this isn't Bitcoin, but it can use the same type of technology that Bitcoin runs on. And such a global digital money would have huge positive impact on the world because it's programmable. We could actually build rules into this money so that it could more fairly distribute wealth to the countries and places where it is needed the most. Our current global financial system is deeply unfair. Just as our own disparity of wealth in the United States is extreme and growing more and more extreme, it's the same across the world. So this inequity that we have in our global financial system could be addressed with a new type of global digital money. So I lay out that whole plan in part 3 of my book. It's the message that I'm most passionate about bringing out into the world, but it's still a very new idea. It's very weird for people to think about a one world global digital money. Many people are afraid of this idea. And so what I'm trying to do is start the conversation and say, we need to do this. Here's one way that that could work, and hopefully invite and debate and discussion around other great ideas on how we can make that a reality.
Certainly, how to make it in reality. Media Shower helps blockchain companies reach investors. In a space filled with hype, scams, and get rich quick schemes, how do you vet which companies are the worth your team's time and credibility?
Yeah, that's a great question because we do see in this crypto space, obviously, a lot of less reputable companies, shall we say. So we do have a careful vetting process that we use, not just for crypto, but for all of our financial technology, healthcare clients that we do business with. Part of that is early in the process, as they understand what we're about and we understand what they're about. There's generally a good self-selection that goes on there where if it's not a match, it's going to become clear even before we start doing any business with them, just because of the method and the process and approach we take. We don't promise, any quick results because marketing takes time. And because of that, I think that a lot of the less reputable companies that are just looking to kind of make a fast buck just go elsewhere to kind of do that. But for the companies that really want to stick around and build enduring brands, like build the companies of the next decade, that's what we're all about. We're passionate about helping companies really create something that's durable, something that lasts, and something that's really ultimately provides great products and services for the world.
For the world itself, a Bitcoin market journal reads and reviews blockchain projects. What's the most common red flags you see that tells you a project is going to fail? And what is the most common green flag that signals long-term success, Mr.
Yeah,
John?
it's easier to talk about the positive signs we look for because the majority is not worth your time. But there are a few companies that are really incredible investing opportunities. The first thing we look at is called the 3 Ps: people, profits, and price. People is how many users does a crypto have? You can easily see these numbers in real time with various dashboards online. Profits is how much money are they making, and price is what is the price of the token or the stock, and is it undervalued or is it overvalued? So is it cheap or is it expensive? We also have something called the Crypto Investor Scorecard, which is a tool that asks a number of questions about things like the overall market that they're serving, the management team, the user adoption, and so on. And then you can score a crypto company from 1 to 5 on all of these questions we put together. So this is what our analysts do. We actually use these tools. We have a weekly investing newsletter at Crypto Investing. That's cryptoinvesty.ng. And you can sign up for that. And each week we'll take a new crypto company and we'll run it through all of these models and frameworks, and then give you our take on whether it's worth considering for your investment portfolio.
Mr. John, you've said crypto and AI represent unevenly distributed futures. How do these two technologies intersect? And where do you see the most interesting overlap in the next 5 years?
The coolest thing that I think is going to happen is AI agents that are using crypto to pay for transactions autonomously or by themselves. So I'll give you an example. You can set up an agent right now that would go out and, let's say you're like, I want to take a vacation to Barcelona. Go find me the best times and best fares and book it for me. So today you can set one of these AI agents to go out, do all of the flight research. They can also look at things like when is the best time to buy the ticket and so on, and then try to make the purchase for you. Now we get to a point where it's difficult because it has to enter your credit card number and so on. So the idea that's been proposed is that these agents could have basically crypto that they could then spend on your behalf. That would make it much easier for them to autonomously make payments to each other. And you would fund that like you would fund a little bank account or something, and kind of give them ownership over those funds to spend on your behalf. They essentially become like employees that are working for you. So I think this future is inevitable. There is a new standard called the X402 standard, which basically will allow these agents to do this on our behalf. And if you think about this, not just for buying plane tickets, but scaling this up to agents that are able to make trades for you, or that are able to move like very large sums of money for enterprises and bank settlements and so on. This is an enormous opportunity, and I think the most meaningful intersection of where AI and crypto are going to intersect.
You end conversation with references to Asimov and science fiction. If you were writing a science novel about the financial system in 2126, what would it look like, and would crypto have won?
I love those Asimov novels, especially the robot series, because Asimov totally predicted the AI age in which we live. In his world, they're robots, but the robots are essentially AI beings. And he describes so beautifully how they communicate with each other and how they try to figure out these very difficult kind of moral and ethical problems that they face because they're programmed to try to protect humankind. But they run into all these dilemmas as they're trying to do that. And what is the greatest good? And it's so fascinating. I would love to continue exploring that in more ways and seeing what happens to these AI robots as they become these kind of self-aware agents that are operating on humans' behalf and have to start making all of these financial decisions as well. I think that's a really fascinating, unexplored territory for some really awesome sci-fi.
I hope it will be materialized, Mr. John. Looking forward for that sci-fi novel of yours. You've been knighted in Sir John. You've been broke. You've been a millionaire. You've nearly lost everything. What has the journey taught you about money that has nothing to do with money?
Money that has nothing to do with
To do
money.
with money. Yes.
Yeah, you can always make more. You can always make more money. That's the great news. Even when you encounter hardship and setback and financial loss, no matter how bad it is, you can always make more. And you should take comfort in that, not just with money, but with any setback you face in life. You can always come back from those setbacks. And it's in that process of coming back from difficulty, from hardship, that we learn life's greatest lessons. If you think back to your own life, where have you grown the most as a human being? It's probably not when everything was easy. It's probably when everything was hard, when you went through these difficulties and you proved that you can make it through and you can actually come out ahead at the end. You can learn more, grow more, and be more through these difficult times. So that's one of the many lessons in my new book, and one of the life lessons that I hope everybody can take away from this podcast.
Yes, and thank you so much for that, Mr. John. And to wrap up our discussion for today, if you could whisper one sentence into the ear of every new crypto investor just getting started, what would it be?
Diversify, diversify, diversify.
Indeed, diversify people, and you can see the big difference. So, Mr. John, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or your business, or anything you want to promote on Entrepreneurship 101?
The book is called The Intelligent Crypto Investor. It's available on Amazon in this beautiful hardcover. Also, audiobook read by myself. And you can sign up for our free investing newsletter at Crypto Investing. That's cryptoinvesting.ng. And we hope to see you there.
Yes, I hope you will be my regular guest on Entrepreneurship, Mr. John, and let's talk about Bitcoin.
I love it. Thank you for having me on, Daniel. A lot of fun.
Yes. Please do come over and over and over, and let's talk about everything that you want to share on Entrepreneurship 101. People, let's support Mr. John Hargrave, because if you support more and more empowering advocacy like this to us. So, Mr. John, thank you so much for your time. More to come, people. See you soon.